You've got big projects to tackle, but your day gets swallowed up by repetitive tasks and constant inquiries. It's hard to make progress when you're stuck putting out fires. That's where Element451's AI assistants come in. Acting like an extra set of hands, you get your time back for the high-impact projects. Ready to reclaim your time? Visit element451.com/AI team to learn more.
Hello, and welcome to Generation AI, the podcast where we demystify artificial intelligence in the world of higher education. I'm your host, Ardis, Kadiu, and joined with me today, I have JC Bonilla. Hey, JC, my New York City co-host.
What's up with the hesitation? Am I getting fired or something? What's going on here? And my co-host and I don't know, 2 seconds of awkwardness. How you doing?
I missed the line. So
you've only repeated it 57 times, Ardis, or is it 56? 56 times, right?
56 times, yeah. It is a Sunday evening though when we're recording this, so it's
Why is this a Sunday evening, everybody? It's because we have a special episode. This week, Mr. Ardis Kadiu dropped a awesome bomb on educational technology, all things higher education, all things SaaS, all things funding and disruption, and the things that we do. And it was super exciting. So, Ardis, what is it that I'm talking about, and what is today's special episode?
Yeah, so we announced on Friday that Element451 received a growth strategic investment from PSG Equity of $175 million.
Boom! That's it. Everybody, this is where we. By the way, do you ever hear there's a beautiful podcast of all these famous co-hosts, late night co-hosts, and they have a storm and poof. So that's what I needed, that sound. I just couldn't tell the story.
No, we don't do sounds on this podcast. We
should just do a sound for this because it was massive. So yes, everybody, what we like to cover today is do a recap of what this means for Element, your sponsor. The reason why we're here is because Element is picking out the tap on this type of communication outlets. But more importantly, as it relates to AI, there's a gigantic signal that this is sent to the community that AI is in front of us. AI is worth the investment. More important, AI is the solution. So I just want us to basically do this 15, 20 minutes. Everybody, what you're going to be listening is what is the journey of Element, kind of where this come from, who is this amazing PSG that's picked up on the signals that Element is trying to do something different. Why do we have a partnership? And very specifically, what does that mean to this AI conversation that we have? So, Ardis, let's just back it up for whomever doesn't really remember who Element451 is. We've only mentioned it, 8,000 times in the past 55 episodes or so, but just a little quick story on the founder story of Element and kind of how we get to this announcement as in terms of what is Element and our history here.
Yeah, it's our day job, right? So we do this for fun in the evenings, and then Element is our day job.
I know.
Yeah, Element has been part of kind of our journey now for the past 7 years. If you're not familiar with Element, it's a technology, CRM, and student engagement platform that's AI first. And when we talk about AI, a lot of the things that we talk about in this podcast and in this show really come from because we're practitioners, and we actually do that every single day. So we're building with AI. We're kind of teaching, we're learning. So a lot of that comes from that. But the story there is that we, it started more than 17 years ago when we kind of connected together, right? This idea that we were trying to find a better experience for those students when we were back at NYU on how do you go from a really, really amazing experience on the website to an application experience, which is very legacy, PeopleSoft type application. And we were trying to, how do we make that easier? So we started building kind of this wrappers around PeopleSoft and Apply Yourself back then. So this notion that student experience was really important and you needed to have a an amazing consumer-based experience from kind of the top of the funnel, which was your website, or from marketing all the way to when you became a current student and even when you graduated. It was really, really important. So that's kind of where it started 17 years ago. And then moved on to form Spark451, which is an agency that we did a lot of that direct marketing and kind of helping schools with that, recruiting and marketing those students in a personalized way. And we started building products there. But then we started building software to make that easier on ourselves, right? And that's where that started. We were doing our early predictive models there, as we have talked about, where we were buying data from College Board and RCCUA and all of these testing sites. And we were doing cluster analysis back then. So remember the cluster analysis worked?
Of course, I remember trying to identify what was the common theme around all the data fields that our partners and us, we also had as part of this mix. And Ardis, as you unpack the story of Element, everybody, something really important to remember is, and this really comes from Ardis's vision, right? The idea that there's an agency, in this case, Spark451, is how can we deploy this agency in what it does in terms of recruitment and the speed, the aspect of marketing, if you think, through the lens of technology. But the second component that it's, and this is where you and I started dancing, and we've always been mission aligned, is that let's do that through the lens of automation, and we're engineers, but we just literally force advanced analytics. Back then we called it machine learning or data science. And this is when, about 2-3 years ago, with the incredible trajectory that Element has had, you made the decision to make Element an AI-first software company. And for the past 2 years, that's been a core differential to who we are today. So last week, you made the announcement that $175 million have been earmarked to the strategic growth for Element. This comes from PSG, a strategic partner, and it's basically earmarked to do two things. Number one, it's setting the growth trajectory of Element to the next level, because we want our partners, the schools, the students, and the families that we represent to know that this is going to take us forward, and the benefit that we've brought and the impact that we bring to their lives is only going to augment. But the second thing that is done, this investment is earmarking towards this bold statement that AI, it's an unlock for how student engagement should look like. So, Ardis, can you just basically paint a little color of what is the significance of having PSG as a strategic partner? And my friend, again, congratulations for this gigantic milestone. You were the quarterback, the coach, sometimes the water boy in. You did it all on this one, my friend.
I appreciate it, JC. No, so this is, thanks to the team as well. You guys have been, you joining us now for the next step of the growth. But what this signifies is essentially, when we talk about businesses over the last year, and we've been talking about AI and how it's going to impact every single business out there. And we talk about how this application layer is going to be transformed and how AI is going to allow institutions to do more and to provide a better student experience. Well, we're actually building those solutions right now. And what this investment signifies is a huge signal that the value that Element is creating for these institutions is real, and it's going to accelerate, and it's going to accelerate their, the need for AI in these institutions is going to accelerate. And what Element has built so far is showing tremendous value, given by how fast we're growing, how much the market is kind of adopting Element. And you also see it that, PSG Equity, they're looking at this as an accelerant for a lot of institutions where Element has the right product and the right product market fit, and they see us as a winner. So we can accelerate over the next 3 to 4 to 5 years and become the main player, the dominant player here. So, but the AI angle and AI being that differentiator and how we feel that it's going to impact institutions and organizations. Now you see it in higher education where we're coming in and saying, you know what? like somebody sees the value of this, right? And the process was very competitive. And Element has, just starting its growth right now, and this really drives home that not only are we ready to play, but we're also, have the backing of, accelerating with that capital as well.
Ardis, as part of the board and someone that's been close to Element, I was not aware of this number, and I have here my notes. 346 customer growth since 2021.
Percent, yeah.
Right,
yeah,
percent, yeah, I'm sorry. It's just an incredible growth. So all of you partners, all of you who are in our Element451 ecosystem, thank you. You have been the lubricant of this deal and this transformation. Why? Because through vision, through us pushing the buttons and trying to deploy a new way of doing higher education student engagement, you have been basically the entities that receive it and accelerate it in a way. Ardis, wonder if you can speak a little bit of the strategic context here, because the industry is going through this transformation, right? And then the solution is AI. And everything I'm going to say, the solution is AI. So let's expand that a little bit, right? Because the industry is going through really interesting nuances in student retention, in the student recruitment. What we're starting to see is that if many schools have figured out that it's easier to retain than to recruit. Many schools have figured out that the lessons learned in recruitment are wonderful deployments of engagement that retention, academic affairs, student services will benefit from. We're also seeing in the transformation that the shift in student expectation is front and center in the classroom, and the student and the prospective student and the parents are also expecting that. And we also know, right, that the industry, right, it's resource constrained, right? In a way, today it's been asked to do it all at the same rate with the same resources. So how is this all? The answer, AI. Can you talk us through this kind of strategic context on how these things connect?
Yeah, I mean, look, the main thing to think about is we truly believe at Element, or at least we believe that the industry, in order to meet those customer expectations, like you said, you can't hire, there's no more resources, so you can't hire more people. So the idea is, can we have the people that we have do more with less and increase their productivity? That's number one. And can we have the consumer engage with AI systems in order to facilitate their discovery of their product, get their questions answered, interact with the systems, go through paces, get better communications. So all of those pieces, AI is phenomenal at, and we're just seeing the beginning of that. So where we are today is that AI is helping both on the experience level with that student and on the productivity side. And that's where we're focusing on, right? Because we need to make people more productive. So make one person feel like 5 people, or do the work of 5 people, or have that person be more of an expert. And then on the other side is like, well, how do you replicate people that are 24/7? Well, I mean, that's the whole idea, right? So these AI powered solutions, that's what they provide. Like the benefit of conversational interfaces. We've been talking here for the past year, and how the age of the chatbot has gone away, and now we're moving to the agentic world with AI agents, and how exciting that is, that it's going to allow us to interact with the systems in a more natural way, in a way that we can do work and kind of, get that experience a lot better.
And Ardis, one of the reasons why PSG has trusted us and we've made this partnership is that Element is not speaking of AI in an aspirational way. I've always been saying there's a lot of aspirations in AI, and we actually talk about them in this podcast, being an ongoing roadmap that has deployed AI, has solved issues, and they look like that 24/7 support and expansion of people that Element has done through our bot technologies. We also talk about how AI touches recruitment campaigns, and we have these already agent deployments that allow a admissions professional or any higher education professional to have a campaign soup to nuts in seconds, right? And then the idea of using AI to detect patterns, we spoke about, our application fraud detection. So all those things are current features that are AI powered and are deployed in Element. Love for you to use this opportunity to kind of give Element friends a preview of the AI roadmap, or anyone who is basically interested in understanding agentic systems and kind of where marketing, automation, personalization is scale need, which is in a way and productivity, which is basically the secret sauce of Element. So this investment, it's going to accelerate what is in your head by a number of years, probably. So what does that look like? Can you just try double click of these upcoming AI innovations and the roadmap that you'll see Element deploying, specifically? What is this AI agenda that you think is going to be packed in the next year or so?
Yeah, I think so. So we're really excited because we're in a very, very unique situation right now, where if the conversation that we've been having is all about how these conversational interfaces or AI agents or AI assistants are going to you can now build your chatbots, right? So we talked about how chatbots are built, how all of these pieces are built, and everything is going to be through a conversational interface. However, where Element is very uniquely situated is that we have all of the data on student engagement. Element is the student engagement system of record, right?
Yeah.
And we have every engagement or every piece of data from when they first visit the website all the way down to what courses they took and how often do they show up in class, because we can integrate with the LMS, and then even further than that in the as alumni. So we have all of the data in our system. And what AI allows us to do now is provide marry that conversational interface with the layer of all of the data that we have. But that data is also collected because we also have built specific solutions for, different workflows in kind of the higher education, from application management to inquiry generation, to kind of event management, to surveys, to communications back and forth, right, to multi-channel communications. Because Element has all that data and has all of those workflows in one place, it allows us now to provide a single pane of glass through conversational interfaces, or we call AI assistants or agents, to that end consumer, which is the student. And then we also can provide the same thing to the administrators. So the administrators doesn't have to click and go through the interfaces anymore. They can just ask the system to produce new content, to kind of summarize things, to get insights from the system, or to even, send communications or send engagements. So now we have an amazing system that is pulling data from all over the place, is generating this activity data. And then we have students that are interacting and administrators that are interacting. Where this becomes very interesting is that all of that workflow engine that previously we had to automate, and we manually had to say, okay, today or week one, as soon as that student submits an RFI form, we send a communication, and then 5 days later, another one. Well, because we have all this data, the next phase is, how do we make this more autonomous? How do we make those actions more autonomous so they can act on behalf of what, certain goals that we have? So the whole idea of the system that we have is to move that student along through that journey. And in order to do that, there is nudges, there's content that needs to be produced, there's data that needs to be analyzed in order to see what's the next best thing. And that's what we're building right now. And that's really the very, very exciting part, is how are we building autonomous agents that are going to take actions on behalf, or take actions actually not just on behalf, but constantly evaluate what the students are doing and where they are in their journey, and then nudge them along. They can create content, or they can send SMS messages, they can send text messages, they can call the student, they can set tasks for administrators to do work, they can change data. So all of these things can be happening based on a goal, and these autonomous agents can do that work. Now, what that means is that you no longer have to pre-plan everything. You just have to connect the right pieces to the student's journey. And then the AI is going to evaluate that every few seconds or every few minutes and take the next best action. That is the unlock that is going to essentially transform not just how these systems, like what the result is going to be, but it's actually going to unlock the holy grail of marketing or even the work that we do, customer engagement or student engagement. Because when you think about it, all we're doing as humans is, in terms of automation, is like we're looking at some record, and then we're deciding if we should do something to kind of nudge that student along. And that's usually in the form of a communication or reaching out. Well, if the AI can do that for us now, it allows us to have more bandwidth to have better conversations with students, or to have higher bandwidth, more human-like conversations. And the system can take care of all of the background jobs and take care of all the communications and nudging everybody along. And now everybody has a very unique journey, which we would call, kind of this personalized, single journey, or that segment of one, so to speak.
So Ardis, I'm going to put you in the spot. I heard something very similar that you and I, in a way, unpacked. Having a cookie, my friend, when Element was it's still in its infant years, right? When we say, let's create these nudges, right? Because what we knew is that from a milestone called applicant to a deposit, there are so many nudges. And what we really anticipated then, it's that how great it would be to know what is the next nudge, that 10 nudges later, you deposit, right? So, and then what you said is that over time, you've created the data ingestion, the workflows that permit that. So here's a question. Are you saying that this is the time now where the holy grail actually gets built? Because the funding is here. Congrats. PSG has trusted us to come and build it. We have been doing it for a while. The deployment of AI versions of LLMs and whatnot may allow these multi-agentic systems and understanding of data behavior, hyper-personalization. So are you saying that this is what's happening next year? We will finally have the Holy Grail.
Yeah, I mean, this is what we're working on. Yes. If it takes us a year, I think it's going to probably be too long. So it's probably going to take us the first 6 months. Stay tuned. But that's the promise here, is that there's so many things converging, and not just the acceleration of the funding, but also the technology over the past couple of months has gotten better. Those AI models have gotten better. Our knowledge of how to implement this has gotten better. We now are tapping into more data sources at Element, from LMSs to student information like financial aid data and so on and so forth. So Element is also expanding in terms of the data sources that it has. So everything is kind of converging, right? We released our student hub, which is now a personal, current students is a personal app. So everything just makes sense. As I was sitting with our CTO, with Peter, the other day, and we were kind of planning new features, imagine this whole idea of having a personalized feed that comes in from that student based on all the courses that I've taken. And now we can make recommendations on, hey, this would be a really awesome course to take next, or this would be a great program if you want to switch. So now you can build true personalization engines because of the Gen AI can allow us to do that. But not just that, because we have the system already, now we can start building on top of it and connect the dots. So everything is kind of converging, right? The technology, the platform is maturity, the amounts of partners that we have in the platform, the industry and what's happening. So everything is converging, and that's really, really exciting. And of course, this this funding just means that, hey, before, if we had a question mark, we're going to be able to do this. Do we have enough resources? So the answer is now yes, we absolutely will do this. It's just a matter of how fast. Is it going to be 6 months, or is it going to be 7 or 8 or maybe 3?
I'm looking forward 6 to 3, my friend. I recently heard something that caught my eye and quickly translated to our domain. So if agentic systems would allow a deployment of a human-in-the-loop, multi-thread, goal-oriented, I'm going to move you, a student, to the finish line, and I only needed to press 2 or 3 buttons, as opposed to 6 months, thousands of events and high-touch interventions. All that's basically what's changing. So how close is Element from having the next holy grail, which would be, in my opinion, the agent is the student. So as a student, as a user, I get to create my agent. Now these agents that are coming 6 to 9 months are on the university side. And the two agents are basically, or the two AIs are talking to each other and realizing if I am a good fit. Is that in the 2025 tech roadmap of anyone in AI and of Element?
That's an interesting one. My answer obviously would be yes.
4 months.
End. 4. But we don't. So here's the interesting part around that. We would need a place where that student has engaged with or interacted with, so that agent needs to understand the student. And right now, we just don't have those yet, right? So you can take an aggregator site, or you can take a site where a student goes in, they have a profile, and they start kind of communicating, or they start doing research there. They fill in their profile, and they engage with other students all over the place. And now the agent understands that student. And then it can go out and say, oh, okay, let me go out and do the search for you and figure out what other schools are there. I think that's probably a better one. Like, to be honest, maybe there can be a separate product, JC, where you have a college search agent, where from the student's perspective, they log in or they sign in, they load in all their data, and now the agent goes out on their behalf and tries to find it can do school scrapings, and it can kind of communicate if the schools have AI assistants on their sites. It can communicate with them around different programs. I think that's a really interesting one. So you're saying we should build that? That's what we should build?
Element 311, right? 311 is the search thing here in New York City. So Element 311 or Element 450, 452.
Was it 411?
I'm sorry, 411. But yeah, that's basically what I'm trying to position to everybody is that this type of investment not only puts us at the top of the pyramid when it comes to deployments, right, and products. And yes, Element partners will benefit tremendously with this. And as Ardis is mentioning, this sounds like agentic, moving a student to the funnel or the engagement in a really automated way. It's fascinating. But there's also a horizon where Element, from an R&D point of view, now also starts thinking about the next things to solve, which in my opinion is how we turn this page to the student, right? Knowing that there's all these things that we do in a way we're looking at the center of the universe, aka the school, but knowing that also, or the true center of the universe happens to be the student, and these technologies allows us to do it, right? So just wanted to bring that up to see kind of how what part of your brain this scratches, but for me that's the holy grail, right? And
have you seen the movie Her?
Yes, of course.
Have you rewatched it?
No.
Since you first saw it?
No, my friend.
You got to rewatch it now that we've been doing this now for a couple of years with the AI, right? So you got to rewatch it. And one of the things that you're going to pick up is exactly what you talked about, is like you have this personal OS or this personal system, and essentially it's communicating with other agents out there and doing all that work. So you look at it from a very different perspective. So you as an individual, you're at the center, and and now it's engaging with everything else out there. So pretty interesting.
Awesome.
It got a lot of stuff right, for sure.
It did, right? And this is where I always applaud artistic deployments that kind of foresee and just basically get it right. Ardis, last question, so we can wrap up today. The question to you, the human, the man, the CEO, the father, the technologist, the AI expert. This is one of the biggest accomplishments that I think you have in that, as that brings it all together, right? I've been in your life for a long time, my friend, and I know that as a father, you've worked very long hours, right? And then sometimes your family kind of has missed you, right? You had an academic career, right? In a way, you said no to like teaching, and they just went full time here. You move. There are so many things that have happened, and in a way, this is a culmination. So, how did it feel, my friend, coming together and just basically shaking hands with PSG and saying thank you? And in a way, I deserve this. So, how did it feel, my friend?
It felt good, but it's really interesting when you're, I don't think it's still kind of computed that this is like such a big deal, and like all the work
Ardis,
so far
you're not
has come
hallucinating. This is not a hallucination.
I'm not hallucinating. And it's funny because like people ask me that, and I'm like, well, it feels good, but like nothing has changed for me, right? So nothing, like, yeah, maybe I don't have to wake up in the middle of the night and now, or think about, it's like, oh shit, if we don't do something right at Element, or if this thing kind of, there's no safety net, right? So now it's like, okay, we can get to the next level, and I don't have to worry that all of my work kind of condensed into this one one company, and like all of my my life's work and value is condensed into that. And it doesn't have to be that anymore, right? It can just, I can step back a little bit and then see the forest a little bit more, and be more strategic around how we think about creating value, how we think about creating value for our partners, our customers, and then creating value as well for Element overall, right? Because I don't have to worry too much about, is this thing going to fail or not? So I don't have to be in that binary mode anymore, right? This is, it can be a little bit different. Like I can make decisions a little bit differently, but nothing changes for me, right? Nothing changes because now I'm like, okay, now I got a bigger step function to go to, and that's it.
As a friend, a colleague, and an observer of your career, I would say that this artist symbolizes the validation. This handshake is the validation of multiple things. You, the technologist, it validates you. You, the leader, it validates you. You, the visionary, because you created a new space, right? And all the manifestations that you have had, my friend, so it validates it. Even you, the podcast host, it validates it that you are basically an expert, a leader, and a visionary, and all this type of things. So love what this represents. And everybody, this is just the beginning of the next chapter of this beautiful partnership called Element451, and the multiple schools that believe in what we're trying to do. So with that, Ardis, do you want to say goodbye and send us home?
Till next time, everybody. This has been a pleasure. Very excited here. We're going to continue to have more episodes of Generation AI. We're going to enter into our second year. So this is going to be really, really exciting. And we'll talk more about everything that we're building. So until next time.
Bye, everybody.
Generation AI is part of the Enrollify podcast network. If you like this podcast, chances are you're going to like other Enrollify shows too. Our podcast network is growing weekly, and we've got a wide range of marketing, enrollment, and higher ed technology shows that are jam-packed with stories, ideas, and frameworks, all designed to empower you to be a better higher ed professional. Our shows help higher ed leaders and professionals like you find their next big idea. They feature a selection of the industry's best as your hosts, like Jamie Hunt, Seth Odell, Jenny Lee Fowler, Brian Gross, and many of your favorite leaders in higher ed. Enrollify is made possible by Element451, the next generation AI student engagement platform that's helping institutions all over the country create meaningful, personalized, and engaging connections with their prospects and students. Learn more at element451.com.